morning. I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you of how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. So let's make some new friends today. And today I'm fortunate enough to speak with the Tucson Rodeo Parade. Yeehaw! This colorful, exciting parade is presented each year and keeps the spirit of the first parade back in 1925. Now known as the largest non-motorized parade in the country, it still achieves its success through the community's participation and the dedicated work of its members, volunteers, and the generosity of its sponsors. So let's meet some of these fine folks today. We have some former chairman of this whole event, Chairman of Publicity, Sponsorship, and Public Information Officer, Diane Kuhlin. Diane, how are you?
Welcome. I'm doing great. Thank you for having us, Frank.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm also we're joined by Chairman of Entries and Lineup, as well as Public Information Officer, Herb Wagner. Herb, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thanks.
Well, good morning and welcome to Lifestyle Tucson. So I've given a little bit of hype about how excited I am for the Tucson Rodeo Parade. I love a parade, as they say, and it's really fun. It's a spectacle to be seen, a lot of great things, but let's hear from the professionals. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the Tucson Rodeo Parade?
Well, from a historical standpoint, the Tucson Rodeo Parade began as the kickoff for the Tucson Rodeo. Now, way back in 1925, a transplanted New Yorker by the name of Leighton Kramer got together with some of the local business leaders and said we should have a rodeo here in Tucson. And they thought he was a little bit crazy because we have rodeos on the working ranches and competitions on a regular basis. But remembering back to growing up in New York and watching the Wild West shows that passed through those areas, he wanted to have a professional rodeo where we would invite and pay competitors to be in the rodeo. And to kick that rodeo off, all participants in the rodeo had to be part of a parade that wound through downtown Tucson, past the businesses that were sponsoring it, along with some other wagons and cars. There were automobiles early on in the rodeo parade because the auto was pretty new back in 1925.
It's an Edsel probably down the street.
It was long before Edsels.
Is it a little Edsels? Okay.
But so what happened was the parade basically wound through downtown and headed out to the rodeo grounds, which at that time were at the location of the current Banner University Medical Center. So that's where the rodeo was held for the first several years. And that began the tradition of a parade to kick off the rodeo.
That's amazing. And do the math, 1925, why, that's 98 years ago. So we're coming up on a big centennial for the Tucson Rodeo Parade, which is super exciting. But let's also just talk about some of the real facts about what's happening right now for the rodeo. Where can people go? Like, it starts where? It's Ajo and
Fair. Mm-hmm. And the parade route then heads east on Ajo to Park, south on Park Avenue to Irvington, west on Irvington to South 6th Avenue, and then north on 6th Avenue and ends back at the rodeo grounds.
There you are.
Our grandstands are on Irvington between 6th and 3rd Avenue.
And I believe people can find that information very easily online if they just go to TucsonRodeoParade.com, correct?
Yes.
All right. So easy to find, easy to spot, all that information on how to enjoy this great, great, great parade that's going to be this Thursday. It's very exciting. So kids, it's a shame you're going to miss it. You're in school. Wait a minute. How come all the kids are out of school? Is Tucson the only place in the entire country where kids get off for rodeo days?
Frank, it is the only place in the United States that lets school out for rodeo days.
Amazing.
And we're proud that the parade is part of that. The rodeo parade, as you said, will be in its 98th year. Local school districts close school for what we call rodeo days. Go figure.
Yeah.
How does that work, right? So anyway, it's very exciting, and that's one of the reasons also that our parade, unlike some other parades, is that we're able to include several of the high school marching bands because they're off school. They're not missing school to participate. And so who doesn't love that, right? A parade with marching bands. And we have probably 500 horses that will be in the parade. Oof. People love watching that, right?
Yeah.
We have, I think, about 88 coaches, wagons, buggies, historic pieces of rolling equipment that many of us have never even seen. Some of them will be decorated and rolling in the Tucson Rodeo Parade on Thursday morning starting at 9 o'clock.
That's right. So make sure you're out there on the streets taking a look. You know where to go and you know where to watch. Now, I got to ask you a personal question. I've always wondered if I could get away with this. I know it's a non-motorized parade. I have a 1969 VW bus. If we just hooked some horses up to that thing but didn't turn it on, can I be in the parade?
Well,
No.
no.
That seems fair. Usually people see me pushing it down the street from time to time, so that's why I ask. You never know when you're just pushing a VW
We
bus.
get requests all the time for, for what would really actually be very cool entries.
Yeah.
It's just that this particular parade is focused on the Old West and the culture of the Southern Arizona traditions. And so we work really, really hard to try to keep it a non-motorized and mostly Western heritage. So that car probably would be better in a.
But we use real horsepower.
That's what I was about to say. There it is. He got it. He got it. Who needs those things?
That's
motorized nonsense. You're going to scare all those ponies. You got to look out for that.
That's right. That's right.
So I know that the Tucson Rodeo Parade, all right, is such a big deal. And it is just like this piece that really kicks off the rodeo. I was talking to the Rotary Club a few episodes ago, and one of their big fundraisers is selling beer at the actual rodeo. But let's talk about some of your sponsors. Who are some of the great sponsors that really get the Tucson Rodeo Parade moving?
So as you know, the parade has just as long a history as the rodeo does. We're approaching our 98th year. And we are proud to say that Desert Diamond Casinos is one of our top-level sponsors. They have been with us for decades, and they have also put 2 wagons in the parade as opposed to just 1 wagon, which is what we provide sponsors. They are a reliable and enthusiastic support of helping build our equipment as well as participating in the parade. KOLD television, and we also have a Spanish television a station now called Estrella, TV 14, will be broadcasting live right next door to KOLD for the parade. They are sponsors. Arizona Lotus, which is where this station is. And Little Mexico is a steakhouse and restaurant. They have 2 businesses. They are big sponsors. They are one of our sponsors that provide food on a regular basis to our volunteers. And there are as many as 300 of those that it takes to help manage the parade, help put it on, help manage the streets and the crowds and the children that are so enthusiastic about it. Sunbelt Rental, who would know that a rental company is such a big deal with the parade? But because we operate year-round, maintaining the museum and maintaining over 150 wagons and buggies, and we have various fundraising events to help put this parade on, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to helping us with equipment when it needs to be available, heating, lighting, cooling even, sometimes in the museum, all kinds of services that they provide. So we actually have like 18 or 19 sponsors, and that's just a few of them. Yeah. But they're all, Stark Electric is another really reliable one that's been with us for years and years and years. This year, our first year is with CheckSmart. And they come aboard. There's actually some CheckSmart banks, I guess, along Ajo, right near the parade route. And so we're very excited to have them involved this year. And they'll be also having a wagon in the parade as part of that sponsorship as well.
There you go. So if you've got a small business or someone in the community that you're thinking about getting involved, that 99th year is coming up quick too. You can go get involved. I believe I saw some ways to submit. There's some deadlines right there on the website because, again, being a part of this parade, it's being a part of history. It's a big deal. And you talk a lot about the history because there is the museum. That was my very next question because the Tucson Rodeo Parade is not just an annual affair. Tell me about the Parade Museum and everything that we might find inside.
Well, the museum houses our collection of over 150 rolling pieces of equipment, horse-drawn equipment. Now, they're not all rolling. We have some sleds and some sleighs, but most of them are on wheels. And we also have in the museum a depiction of a western town, a depiction of Tucson near the turn of the century. Wow. We actually have some equipment and business accoutrements from local businesses that were around at that time here in Tucson. The Stork's Nest Birthing Center.
Oh.
We've got some memorabilia from them. We've got them from the Seal Peterson dress shop, the Jacobs Assay office, and a local barber shop that was downtown before the area was raised.
Yeah.
But it's a depiction of an old West town, plus all of the wagons and buggies that we have in our collection. Many that you may have seen in many of the Western movies that were filmed at Old Tucson back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
No kidding. Any other movie props besides that?
There are a few out there, yes.
Wow.
There are a few.
That's so cool.
We have one of the stagecoaches that most of us have seen in Western movies, specifically with John Wayne, for example.
Yeah.
But we when we were growing up, I think we have at least seen them in television, if not in person. But those we have a stagecoach that has been used in several movies with John Wayne, and it has some very unusual features to it to allow it to travel safely through very rugged terrain in those days, and be able to transport a whole family.
Well, again, they don't fill the potholes around here, so I'm sure they still need some of that.
Sure,
about it.
Shocks, its own shocks.
And the Surrey with the fringe on top from the movie Oklahoma.
No kidding.
From our museum, yes.
Wow.
It's still there on display.
See that? Go see a bit of history.
Some of Oklahoma was actually filmed outside of Sonoyta, Arizona.
Wow.
Go figure. And so some of the Oklahoma movie set was intended to be in cornfields, and they actually took some corn in planters and put them out in the field to make it look like corn was actually growing.
The University of Arizona potted over 2,000 corn stalks in coffee cans and transported them out there so that the scenes as they go through shows these high ears of plants of corn.
Pretty
them
amazing.
All together, it looks like a cornfield.
That's amazing.
All the magic of movies.
Yep. That's that movie magic.
Long before computer-generated stuff.
Yeah, no. CG, we want practical effects. We want real wagons in Oklahoma. So that's the thing that we're talking about. It's 98, all right? This is the 98th, because we're about to hit the 100th for that. As a lot of great stuff in Tucson, Hotel Congress, the Rialto, the Fox Theater, a lot of things are hitting that centennial. So it's really a big part of Tucson's history that you're right there as well, being a part of this town for a long, long time. I made a funny movie. I do this from time to time where I play Scrooge, and Scrooge attends lots of things around Tucson. I'll force you to watch it a little bit, but it's all about him going to the Tucson Rodeo Parade.
Oh, nice.
And I found some classic footage of it, like very old, like over 50, 60 years old, that I do want you to see from the Tucson Rodeo Parade, where it has like a giant walking in it. He's like this 8-foot tall man next to a very, very small man. And I was just like, this is incredible. So I have some old footage to show you that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes,
Oh,
we've
yes.
seen that.
Oh,
We've
yes.
seen that. I believe that was from the early 1930s.
Wow.
Background. Yep.
It's so impressive and so fun. So as I keep looking around for some of the stuff, history, there is something that is kind of history making, and I believe it is this year's Grand Marshal. Tell me a bit about this amazing woman, Jessica Cox, because her story is something that's unbelievable, and I just kept clicking links. As I found her on your website, then I go to her site, then I go, what are her books? What an impressive woman. Tell me all about her.
She is an amazing woman, and we are very pleased and proud to have her as our Grand Marshal this year. She's a very inspirational person. For many who may not know, Jessica was born without arms, and she has achieved so much in her life. Overcoming that, and she doesn't call it a disability, it's a different ability, is the way she puts it, where she can live life as normal as possible without arms. She drives, she eats at restaurants, she flies. She's the first pilot without arms.
Yeah.
And she's incredible. And part of the entry she will have with her is a fuselage that she is building as a simulator to assist other people with limb differences to become pilots. And so we're going to have that mounted on a flatbed. We couldn't get your bus on there, but we put a fuselage of an airplane on a wagon.
Fair.
And it'll go through the parade. And she's going to have many of her the children who have been helped by her foundation that assist limb difference children, and with her on her wagon and on that float.
That is such a big deal.
So one of the really interesting pieces about Jessica also, Frank, is that she's local.
Yeah, I saw she's a graduate, right?
She's born in Sierra Vista and,
Wow.
graduated from the University of Arizona.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we ran into her the other day. She had gathered some of these children that she wants to ride the float in the parade, like many of us have done as we were growing up. Well, she and her husband were gathering those children in our museum along with their parents to help kind of explain to them about the float and their participation in the parade and how important it was to her. And those kids were so excited. It was so fun to see them just thinking about the idea that this might be the first time that they've actually been to be able to ride in the parade.
Yeah.
And so the limb differences was not holding any of those kids back any more than it's held Jessica back. But she is an amazing person, and we highly recommend folks to get on her website. And there's a terrific video about her on that actually I think she and a producer put together that's on the Amazon video that's really, really incredible. I think it's called Right Footed.
Okay.
And it's amazing. I've actually referred that video out to some of my consulting business partners for motivational for employees and for managers, because it really has such a far reach in the ability as a motivational material.
She's an incredible motivational speaker. She'll be speaking to our volunteers on parade morning.
That's fantastic. That's right. That's where you got to cash that in. She's around. That's fantastic. No, she really was so inspirational to see. It's amazing, like, to have a local hero be involved and also being able to celebrate her. So well done. Let me ask you also this as well. How do you judge? There's a prize here. These floats, these carts, everything, they get judged. How do you judge this? What's the big? Is there a big prize?
Well, they're not big prizes. They are trophies.
There you go, big trophy.
We have 18 judging categories, anything from colorful float to creative float to music categories, marching bands, Western riding groups, family groups, a whole gamut of different areas. And we have judges that we select and help us out that take a couple categories and judge the top three from each category. And then overall, we've got three major prizes. We've got the Chairman's Award, the Sweepstakes Award, named after Diane's father, Kurt Sullivan, who was a longtime member of the parade committee. We have the Chairman's Award and the Judges Award. So those top three are the three top overall prizes for the parade, but then each category has a first and second place.
There you go. I'm going to give you guys a little hint, all right? Because one time I was on the Rock 102.1 KFMA float, and we won second place.
Woohoo!
Yeah, do you know why? It wasn't woohoo. It was yeehaw. Because I took two big signs the night before. I made a giant sign that said yee. I made a giant sign that said haw. And as we were passing, I'd hold up each one, and the crowd went nuts for each one.
Love
Yee and
that.
ha, yee and ha. I've taken those signs to Tucson Roadrunner hockey games. I've taken those signs to various things. It works every time. So if you want to tip
That's
to it,
fantastic.
yeah, if you want a little edge to get to at least second place, I can't tell you how to win the whole thing. Yee and ha works.
That worked. That worked.
Crowd interaction is something we see a lot with the parade entries, along with interacting with those spectators. We've got about 150,000 spectators along the parade route, so all the more reason to get them involved too.
Yep. Is there anything specific this year you're looking forward to? Is there anything standing out?
Well, for the last couple of years, we have had a model of the USS Tucson submarine in our parade, sponsored by the Submarine Veterans of Southern Arizona. So we're probably the only horse-drawn parade in the nation that has a submarine in it.
That's amazing.
Even though it's a scale model. But this week coincides, with Navy Week here in Tucson. So we are very proud to have a lot of Navy participants in our parade this year. Joining the submarine veterans is going to be the commander of the USS Cincinnati and sailors from the USS Tucson, the USS Gabriel Giffords, and the USS John McCain.
That's amazing.
Our pre-parade entertainment is going to include the U.S. Navy Honor Guard and drill team, and these are the guys that march, drill, and throw the rifles with bayonets to each other. It's quite a performance we'll see before the parade. And then we have a U.S. Navy soloist who is going to be singing the national anthem at our grandstands at 9 o'clock to kick it off.
Way to make it that much more special. I'm excited for Navy Week. Next week, I'm going to be interviewing a marine biologist and an oceanographer from the Navy. Because I hooked up with some people. They contact me, and I'm like, I would absolutely love to talk to an oceanographer from the Navy. Like, what have you seen? Because that's got to be interesting. And I don't think a lot of people realize, like, that there are those sorts of opportunities if you join the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, so that's fascinating. That's really going to add a lot of extra excitement to this week and to this year's Tucson Rodeo Parade.
Yes, it will. It will be, and we're just ecstatic that the Navy has embraced us and has joined us, and they're all in being part of the
crowd
event.
loves them.
Yeah.
The crowd loves them too. You talk about the yeehaw, but they pay attention to these drill teams, and they look fantastic too, of course. Herb brought up that one of the Navy drill teams at ceremonial will be participating in what we call our pre-parade entertainment, which happens in the grandstands. And so we really encourage people to buy your tickets to the grandstands. If you buy it the day of the parade, which at this point a lot of people will be doing, the tickets are $12 for adults and $7 for children. If you can get it online now, you can still get them for $10 and $5. So they're discounted right now. If you can buy them online, hurry and do that. But in the grandstands is where this pre-parade entertainment happens. And one of the groups that's going to come in is their square dancers and what they call round dancers and square dancers.
Yeah.
We'll have a mariachi band and some folkloric dancers as well. Then the drill team that we spoke about. So it's going to be a really fun time.
That is a lot of entertainment.
One more.
Yeah.
The Tucson Chinese Cultural
Cultural
Association will have their lion dance team doing their performance for us. So you're going to have a lot of good entertainment even before the parade gets there if you buy those grandstand tickets.
Yeah. Macy's is going to sue you. You keep this up. Jeez. This is a heck of a
it's
parade. So
going to be awesome.
As it gets bigger and better all the time, you mentioned earlier, how can people become volunteers and get more involved with the Tucson Rodeo Parade?
So the parade committee welcomes volunteers to come out and help on Sundays. We usually start bringing in volunteers as early as October or November on Sundays to help us work on equipment and prepare the museum, do a variety of other preparation that it takes. There's a form on the website that you can go in. It's filed under the word support for sponsors or for volunteers to go in, click on that, and you can fill out a form that you're interested in volunteering. So we need all kinds of volunteers, from those that will work just on parade day. We have about 300 that do that, just working on parade day. And we have some that come out and are more interested in helping in the museum. We have docent tour guide positions. And we have people, obviously, who have welding and electric. And then we have the business side of the parade, which is some of the publicity and the sponsorship and organizing it.
All right, so we're getting close to wrapping it up here, but let me ask you both. If you had a genie grant you a wish for the Tucson Rodeo Parade, what would your wish be? And that could be for this year or for the 100th celebration.
I'd like to see it bigger and bolder with community support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult because it's not your average parade for people to get involved in terms of actually being an entry, right? So it needs to be somebody who has some horse experience or wants, to be involved in riding a wagon. So I think what we're seeing is over time, there's fewer and fewer of us, right, who actually own a wagon that can put horses through the parade. Mm-hmm. So there's limitations on those numbers. So I would like to see that. I mean, if I had a wand, I would say, let's go back and make sure that we have, a parade that can handle, maybe 200 or 300. The other thing is, I think that having community involvement has always been a long-standing tradition in Tucson and southern Arizona. We'll experience about 150,000 people along the route of that event. We're the largest one-day event in all of Arizona.
Really?
In all of Arizona, right? So that's big, and so we're proud of that. And so I'd like just to see additional businesses getting involved, helping sponsor it, but also finding a way to get a wagon and a team of horses that they can rent and participate in the parade.
I like that.
If I had a wish, I would wish for more people to join us on the committee.
All right.
I've been on that committee for 37 years, and our numbers are dwindling. Volunteer opportunities are there. Becoming a member is a process, certainly, by coming in and working with us, and then being because it is an elected group. But we're very open to it. But our maximum number is 36, and we're down to about 28 active members of the committee right now. We've got a lot of volunteers, and it is a time commitment. But it's a time commitment that once you do make that commitment, I think I found that I've enjoyed it for many, many years.
Time well spent. My lesson to everyone from this show, my lesson to everyone in life, I always tell them volunteering will change your life. Don't try and do the things that you want to do. Go find people doing the things that you want to do and join up, help them out. And then you end up making friends, making new inroads, making new opportunities for you to just be involved in great, great things. And I just hear too many people think they're bored, right? You're not bored, you're boring. Get off the couch, get outside, and hang out with a bunch of fun folks that hang around horses all the time, care about the community, do a lot of fun stuff. And I'm sorry, it culminates in a parade? What's better than that?
Exactly. Thank you, Frank.
Yes.
I love a parade.
Don't we all?
Today, we made friends with the chairman of Publicity, Sponsorship, and Public Information Officer, Diane Culin, as well as the chairman of Entries and Lineup, and also Public Information Officer Herb Wagner from the Tucson Rodeo Parade. Thank you for being my guests and making friends with me today.
Thank you
You're
for having
welcome,
us, Frank.
Thank you.
Come out and see the parade.
Oh, I will. This was Lifestyle Tucson. Time for a recap, because we talked about a lot of great stuff and you didn't keep track of all that information. So let's talk about what we just talked about. And it's the fact that you just got to check out TucsonRodeoParade.com, because you want to be a volunteer, don't you? You got free Sundays? Come on, what are you up to? Don't you want to get together with a bunch of fun folks that care about horses and old-timey carts, history, and we're coming up on that 100th year. You could really just ride the coattails of this thing right to the centennial. So you might as well go volunteer now. And also, the biggest thing you're going to want to check out is our Grand Marshal, Jessica Cox. Her story might be one of the greatest I've ever heard. So why don't you go follow up on her? She's a Guinness World Record holder. She has several black belts in Taekwondo, is a licensed pilot, author, motivational speaker. And remember, she accomplished all this after being born without arms. That's quite a story, and it's something to behold. So one last time, I want to thank our new friends at Tucson Rodeo Parade for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. For more information about our program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on KLPX.com, KFMA.com, MixFM.com, or ESPNTucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are crafted. I'm your BFF, Frank Powers. Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.